Hello everybody, Logan here with a special video. I mentioned last video that there was going to be a more special video coming out, and that is a comparison between the Lunching Ice Cream Clown, which came out this year in 2023, and Hugz the Clown. This one in particular is the 2018 model, so this is an original one. Now, obviously, yes, the industrial fan is on. It gets really hot and humid in here. It's like summer fall season for the Midwest. Basically, whenever fall starts rolling around is when it gets the hottest here. It sucks. I hate it. I know, you're going to have to bear with the fan because it gets humid quick. So, I thought it would be fair to compare probably one of the most beloved clown props to, well, his newest counterpart. A character that takes the gimmick of Hugz, but has some of the more modern interests and trends with the EL wire and the ice cream clowns. And also has some of the more old school gimmicks with the one-arm lunge instead of the two-arm lunge, which Hugz is actually the only one that has the two-arm reach lunge. Strawman really doesn't count because Strawman's is different than Hugz. His arms close in on you. Hugz, he reaches out at you like the classic lunging props. So, yeah. Hugz came from Spirit Halloween all the way back in 2018, like I said before. He was kind of an instant hit and is still referenced today in merchandise and even in the ISE, where he's got a plaque, which is really, really cool. He's in the front walk-through mausoleum. So, I mean, we still kind of see remnants of Hugz and his influence, which I would say Hugz has had a broader influence than Towering Clown at this point. Hugz was definitely one side of Towering Clown. He was one of those props where you had to get him with Towering Clown. They were displayed together and they looked phenomenal. He was very unique for his time with his design. You know, he had this really cool monster clown look, and it was kind of the beginning of the monster clown trend. He was also our first purple clown animatronic. He featured the free Hugz sign, which we've seen three different variants of, I'm sorry. We have the costume one, the green swirl, I think there's like a purple swirl. He's got the twitching clown arms, which are utilized in a really cool way, where you can pull up his sleeves and have some of his forearms showing. And he's got the kind of the purpley blood as well. And of course, he's got the purple clown shoes. So Hugz has the classic SVI clown clothing, which is the shiny, kind of costumey material with the dual pattern. His is the black stripes with the purple polka dots, and then of course the white neck ruffle. The makeup is pretty simple. It's standard for what you got with the clowns back then. He's got red lipstick and a red nose, and then some black shading around his eyes. His eyes are the standard SVI eyes. They're green. You know, we saw them so many times, and when he is on, they light up amber, which again, pretty standard. One of the downfalls with Hugz is the neck. The head does not actually have like a molded neck piece, so it just kind of wrinkles like this. I know that's a complaint for a lot of people, where you basically have to tighten his collar to hide that. Now, his collar isn't tightened all the way to show that, but that was an issue that a lot of people had. And also, his mouth tends to kind of cave in a little bit like that. So his teeth kind of cave in a little bit. The newer models, they gave him flesh-toned neck, so it looked like he had makeup on. which I didn't like. I believe this model has a vinyl mask. The newer models have latex. So that was kind of a perk with the older ones and a downfall with the newer ones. Another thing about him is that he does have, again, gloved hands, and they did sculpt in like differences, and they actually made one glove dirtier, which, while that is cool, it blends in with the color of his forearm. He does have cheap clown shoes, but they were kind of better quality than what we've gotten in recent years with the clown shoes. Not just with the shoes in general. The shoes in general got better. Now, one of the downfalls with Hugz and even with Strawman is recent years are actually breaking down. It's the 10 tooth, I think is what it is. 10 or 8 tooth. I think it's 10 tooth. It's splitting. And that's really it. I think I've heard belts are breaking out on them too. It's super easy fix. So let's come over to his modern counterpart, which is the ice cream clown. Now there's a lot of differences off the bat. Number one, let's talk about the head. Let's really talk about the heads. So Hugz has a standard head form. Ice cream clown has a more fitted head form just for himself. So it fits his face a lot better, and he has less deformities, especially in the neck, because it goes down pretty far. It actually has a molded on neck. He does have kind of weird mouth issues too. And one of the downfalls with this guy compared to Hugz is his head is latex. So he will rot. Which is sad, because that means he won't last forever. Like Hugz, he is kind of a monster clown. They painted his teeth, and I think they're even sculpted, yeah. He has points, but they're very subtle, so his teeth look a little more human, but sharpened a little bit. So he's actually more subtle than Hugz, which has the actual sharp kind of needlepoint teeth. And he actually has more of a bone-colored tooth. Like Hugz, he has kind of a more simple paint scheme with his makeup, but they did a little more with it, where like Hugz, he only has 2 parts of his face painted. They did his eyes instead of just doing his nose. Well, actually, no, Hugz has 3. Never mind. He actually has a little less than Hugz. They did the mouth and the eyes, and they actually gave him more dynamic eye makeup than Hugz. Hugz just has shading around his eyes. The costume material is different. It's more of a heavier material. I don't know what I would call it. It's not this silky material that Hugz has. It's thicker. It is a little nicer quality. It needs to be looser, around here. It's like I said in my last video, it's too tight. The blood. Let's talk about the blood. The blood on it is a lot better than Hugz. Hugz has this almost like Kool-Aid stain looking blood. The blood on this guy is great. It looks, pretty gory. And even on the sign too, the sign's blood print is a lot better than that of Hugz. And the free ice cream they use looks really cool. It has kind of a vintage feel. But they do have the free sign gimmick. He also has gloves like Hugz. His are different. They're not reused sculpts. And it has a stitching pattern. And he has weird colored blood. It's not as purple as Hugz' blood, but it's still kind of a purpley color in person. So he's a one-arm lunge like the Reaper and the Witch. So both of his arms do not lunge out, which I don't mind, but it is interesting that they went back to that mechanism instead of doing the dual-arm lunge. He has a newer gimmick to him, which is the EL wire. We saw this first with Cackles last year from SVI, not counting Party Time's, whatever his name is. But he's got the EL wire, which is a newer trend with the clowns. So he's got some cooler lighting effects than Hugz. He also has green eyes like Hugz, but they took it to an extreme. And his eyes also light up amber. He has more dynamic clothing than Hugz. It's not just a dual pattern. He's got a striped vest, which is yellow and pink. He's got solid blue sleeves. He's got a pink ruffle, and this ruffle is actually bigger than Hugz's. He's got a green silky bow, so it's actually the only silky material. Oh no, the ribbons are also silky. Solid orange pants with blue ribbon accenting on them to add a little more visual interest. And he has brighter colors than Hugz. Oh, and the hat too, with the blue ribbon on the bottom of it. So he's got a little more color going on than Hugz. He's not just one color scheme, which is really cool about him. He has the same shoe mold, but his is thinner. It's a thinner plastic and it is transparent compared to Hugz's, and it's actually his is already cracking. I've had Hugz since 2018, and his shoes are now really starting to crack pretty bad. His is already starting to crack out of the box. Yeah, womp womp. His actual costuming, though, has a lot more to it. They actually made it look like it's a buttoned-up vest, and he gave these really nice gold buttons, which I really like. Hugz just has a standard clown jumpsuit. What I actually wish they did with Hugz, I wish they gave him pom-poms. So, a little more extra with his jumpsuit. I like that Ice Cream Clown actually holds stuff. Hugz, I actually get his concept, he's reaching out to give you a hug. I like that Ice Cream Clown's a lot more gory than Hugz. Again, Hugz got the Kool-Aid stained blood, and also for a character that talks about eating you, he's awfully clean, especially around his face. This guy doesn't really talk about eating people as much. He's more of kind of a serial killer type of vibe, which is kind of the difference, is the overall characters are very different. Hugz is more of kind of a cannibal, man-eating character. He's definitely more monstrous. Ice Cream Clown is more of a serial killer. He talks about killing people and making parts of their blood and stuff into the ice cream sauce. Or the syrup. Which is more, I would almost say that Ice Cream Clown is a lot more menacing. What also is kind of cool about them is Ice Cream Clown's a lot more pale and pasty than Hugz, and he actually does have a little bits of skin color showing. It's like they used a skin-colored base for the mask and then went over it with grays and whites. So he's got a little more color to him than Hugz. Under black light, Hugz actually glows a little more, I think because he's got more white, and white reflects off of black light more. His hair actually looks really cool under black light. But this guy does look really neat under black light as well. So, audio-wise, Ice Cream Clown has longer phrases than Hugz. Hugz has very short and simple phrases, which is really interesting. Hugz does tend to lunge out further than Ice Cream Clown. I think some of it is because that Hugz is hunched over. Hugz actually has a bit of a hunch to him, and Ice Cream Clown actually stands up straight. If you actually look from the side, you can actually see that Hugz is hunched over. It's really interesting that they didn't give Ice Cream Clown any sort of hunch. He's just perfectly standing straight up, while Hugz is got a hunch. He's got curved legs, and he's kind of hunched over a little bit, and Ice Cream Clown is just standing straight up like a normal animatronic. Voices are different. Ice Cream Clown actually has a higher pitched voice. It sounds more clown-like. He's faking his voice to sound more friendly. Hugz, he's got the classic Mike Reynolds voice. So let's turn them on so you can see them both in action. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. I like to do this with two hands. So Hugz first.
Come a little closer. We've got fun, game, and hug. I'll catch you next time.
Let's turn this guy on.
Step right up. Yeah. Nice. Very
Let's have fun now for just a second. do a side view.
Without screaming, or I welcome to the fun. Come a little closer. We've got fun. Step right up. Step right up. Come get that scoop. Creamy confection. Free all day. What's wrong, kid? Don't you like ice cream? Nice, very healthy. Wow, yes.
So as you can see, Hugz actually lunges out further, and actually he lunges out for a longer duration than Ice Cream Clown. Ice Cream Clown's got a very quick lunge, and Ice Cream Clown is a little more sluggish. It's because of the spring they use on him. He has a stronger spring than Hugz, which is really weird that they did that. But yeah, like I said, Ice Cream Clown's got longer phrases. He also has more phrases than Hugz. Hugz has like 3. I think Ice Cream Clown has like 6. I'm kind of like guessing here. I'm really terrible at like keeping track of them. But yeah, price-wise too, they're actually very close in price. Hugz was $210 and Ice Cream was $200. Well, Ice Cream Clown actually, well no, actually it's not a fair comparison because Ice Cream Clown's price varies. That's actually the downside about Ice Cream Clown compared to Hugz is Spirit is very consistent with their pricing, and I guess this year Party City is not. So, yeah, but online is $200. That's like his base price. And Hugz was, again, $210. Overall, I think they're both really cool. What I like about Hugz, in my honest especially, is people like to pose with him and take photos with him. And if I'm going to be honest here, I think Ice Cream Clown has a little more of a photo op vibe to him. And the lunching is what really gets them when they're going to take pictures with them. So I honestly think the Ice Cream Clown's got that kind of approachability for a photo more so than Hugz. And again, I talked about how Ice Cream has a more of a modern gimmick to him, and that's the Ice Cream Clowns. That's more of a modern trend with recent years. We've seen now 3 Ice Cream Clowns, I think within 3 consecutive years. Pretty sure that would be correct. I think that would be a correct statement. From 3 different companies too. So we're seeing more Ice Cream Clowns, and they've all been kind of monster-y characters, like not fully human. And this is like the most human version we've seen so far, but even then, he still has like sharp teeth, but like not as pointy as Hugz. I think both are cool. I think both have cool cosmetics. But if we're going to talk about quality, I would say Hugz is actually better quality than Ice Cream Clown. Ice Cream Clown has a lot of issues, and it really pains me to say that. But I do think they both are really cool. I think cosmetically, Ice Cream Clown has some cooler cosmetics than Hugz. I think Hugz is better quality. I think Hugz does have a bit of a cooler character, in my opinion. I like the creepy cannibal clown. But I think Ice Cream Clown is more of a darker character. Because if you really look into it, he's more of a serial killer than, like, a monster. And that's kind of scary to think about. But yeah, that is my comparison between the two. I think both are really cool. If you do a clown display, I think you should get both. If you have both, if you have both of them, I totally encourage you to do your own comparison and talk about, your pros and your cons that you see with yours. I think it's really fun to do comparison between similar props, no matter how different they might be. But yeah, that's all from me, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.